and probably one of the better escape artists in the pocket I've seen, and how he remains a thrower. He's talented. He's a playmaker. He can know what you're in pre-snap. He knows where to go with it. He's on time. He's accurate. Strong arms still. And like I said, you see some crazy plays of him breaking 3-4 tackles and you think you got him sacked. The next thing you know, either he scrambles for 18 yards for the first down, or he still finds the open guy. So he's a problem.
Yeah, some of the players have said he's almost like Dracula. That he just doesn't die, doesn't to go down. What's the key to that? Is it just all energy every single play till the end?
For us, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing against a guy that's probably like one of the more competitive people in the league. He's just super competitive. And, yeah, you just got to keep rushing. You can't ever assume that somebody's making the tackle. It's full tilt to the tackle, like we say. And you just got whatever you got, plaster your guys. You start scrambling. You just can never assume the play's over.
Now that you've gotten the opening script monkey off your back, we'll move to another one.
Yeah.
Red zone defense.
Yeah.
What can you do to rectify what's going on there?
Yeah, we just got to be cleaner. We got to be cleaner in execution, be a little more on the same page and some stuff. And then, as far as the coaching staff as well, find different answers. If we need to, I would say the history of this scheme has been, in the past has been successful, but there's a lot of tape of it out there. So we just got to be able to make adjustments now as people are adjusting to what we do.
When you talk about communication, or does that involve like having the cornerbacks get to the right guy, when other teams are trying to create matchups that they want?
Yeah, well, that depends. I mean, some of it, are you talking about like Marcus in the low red right there?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in another, because, we're trying to have matchups there. And then, they did a good job offensively too of trying to rearrange the matchups. And you could say, hey, no, don't pass off these motions. And now you're putting the guy who stays on, like Drake, in a disadvantageous situation of staying on the guy, not getting picked. So you got to pick and choose, or when you just want to lock on the guy and he might get picked from doing his job. And then I don't want to say the term we say, but switching off the guys.
You can say
and
it.
No, yeah, switching off the guys, and then you might not get as the matchup that you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
What challenges does Emeka Buka present for you guys?
He's a very smooth route runner. He doesn't really look like a rookie right now. I'll say that he's been getting better every week. He does a great job of not really changing speeds in and out of break, so it's hard to tell when he's going to make that break, which is hard. It's harder for a DB. Not knowing sometimes you can see guys, they start to slow their speed or speed up wherever they have a tendency. He's pretty good about staying the same course the whole way.
There's been so much talk about, Gonzo and the job that he does. Carlton Davis, what makes him such a great player? And also just, he's kind of going back to a place where he won a Super Bowl this weekend. So I'm sure he'll be highly motivated.
Yeah. Carlton is extremely competitive. And he's got that dog in him. He's a physical guy, good length. He wants the matchup every time. He wants to challenge. And, I think that kind of contributes to the success he's had in his career, as far as not being passive, being tight to guys, sticky to guys. He's great in the run game and the pass game. He's been a huge addition. And I'm excited to see him go back to where he used to play and hopefully turn it up a little bit.
We haven't seen Christian Ellis at practice this week yet, but obviously you guys rotate in that spot next to Spillane. When someone like Ellis goes down, how helpful is that everyone's getting experience already this year?
Yeah, I mean, the whole room is like Vrape said earlier, everybody's preparing to be the starter, so all those guys do that. And they all do a great job of position flex of multiple positions. So whoever's in there, all the trust in the world who's doing it, yeah.
How much goes into when you guys decide, like, if you're gonna have Gonzo follow or something like that? Is it more of you're looking at the offense as a whole? Is it a particular guy? Like you were talking about, they can have the positives, negatives to that, like what happened last week. So what's sort of like the thought process when you guys are sitting down and talking?
Well, the positive negatives isn't so much the matchup, like before the game. That was just on a particular scheme.
Sure.
But you look at the whole offense and see what's going to do best for us versus who they are and what they do and what we do.
Does it matter to you guys if a receiver, one time he's outside, sees a slot? Does that, factor into, well, we don't want to travel this guy into, that sort of thing?
It can, yeah. It can. Just depend on what we want to do that week. Yeah, absolutely it can. Cool? Good?
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Gonna do some quick agility drills
okay,
right
no
there with
worries.
that. Sorry about that. And I'm just gonna power this on. Nice. Okay.
You guys good?
Yeah, I'm ready whenever you are. Trick 1, 2.
Do you want me to hold your mic?
If you don't mind, that would
Yeah,
be
no,
awesome.
sure.
Thank you.
Okay. You guys have been pretty good at stopping the run so far this year. What do you think has contributed to that success?
I think it's a emphasis every week, and it's all 11 guys on defense. It's not just the front; it's all 11. We're all at the point of attack. So usually, good run defense. It's played at all 3 levels. Like the expectation is people think it's just up front, but we set edges, build walls, and then the secondary, the linebackers, they do a great job of helping the team play winning football.
Do you guys kind of hone in on it a little bit more when you are facing a team that has more threat in the run game? Maybe last week going against the Falcons and Bijan Robinson. Is there kind of an emphasis on it? Does it change week to week, or are you guys always just trying to
I think
play
that's sort of the starting point every week. When you let an opponent run the football, it sort of opens up everything. Whether they want to throw, whether it's a running team, I think most teams in the NFL, that's going to be the starting point. Like if you can't stop the run, there's going to be issues. So that's always the starting point, especially early in the week, right? Making sure, again, like just playing square, playing with the fundamentals and techniques we talk about, regardless of who we're playing. I think that's the most important thing.
I think there was some talks, around the trade deadline and maybe wanting to add some guys to the defensive line, to the pass rush. Ultimately it was pretty quiet for you guys on that end, but just how confident are you with the group that you have right now, despite what, the critics might be saying?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is the people in the building and their continued improvement. The guys that are here, I think they've improved every week, and they're helping us win. Like everyone, whether it's the top guy on the roster to the 53rd guy to someone on like everyone has a way that they can help us win. And I think that's the most important thing for everyone in here is just what can I do to help the team win?
And I know you probably don't want to put a ceiling on like the performance or the way that, you guys are playing so far, but how close do you feel like this group is to reaching their highest level?
That's week to week. I think the most important thing is just you don't want to leave any opportunities out there. So what's more important than necessarily the results, right? Just the process, how we go about it, making sure that it looks the way that we need it to look, where consistently throughout the season it'll be successful. Sometimes just chasing plays is not necessarily the most important thing. It's just doing what the team needs you to do, even when it may not be best for you.
And what do you guys see out of Tampa going up against Baker, talented quarterback in that regard? What are you just seeing, and what are you looking forward to about that?
Yeah, I think he's excellent. I'm not sure he's talked about enough. His ability to beat you from the pocket, beat you with his legs. They're good up front. They have a outstanding tackle. They got good guys on the perimeter. They have 2 backs that are explosive. So there's a reason that they've won so many games and have been at the top of that division for a while, and a lot of it starts with that offensive firepower.
Coming in this year, you obviously knew what you had in Milton Williams, and Barmore was a pretty big name. What has surprised you about how they've come together? Not just those 2, but the entirety of the D-line, because I'm not going to say it came out of nowhere, but it seems like a part of this defense that has greatly improved from last year.
Yeah, I think expectations are from outside the building. Like, I think that every week we go out and we need to play well. I think no one has higher expectations of the defensive line than they do. And what's most important is just playing your best football and continued improvement. Like, that's the thing that I'm most excited about, is everyone in that room, top to bottom, they can still get so much better. You know, there's things that we can improve on. Nobody's on the way down. No one's on the back nine of the improvement. So that to me is what's exciting. And the longer they keep playing together, all 5 of those guys, whether it be Tonga, Josh, Milton, Barmore, Corey keeps improving, like this, just it's a chemistry thing. So the longer they play together, they have better feel for how they're going to play certain blocks, where they want to rush, and how to play off of each other.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Are they changing? There's a lot that goes into a plan, and so I think a lot of people don't understand how much it is. It's not just going out there and lining up and okay, here I go.
Yeah, pin your ears back.
Yeah, so you have there's a lot that goes into it.
And then, to that point, with the fan base, there's been some kind of misunderstandings because the sack numbers aren't necessarily there. But you look at the hurries and you look at the win rates and things like that, you see that they're effective. So how would you explain that to the fan, why exactly there is the disparity between the sack numbers and the other kind of pressure numbers?
Yeah, I mean, you go into, I don't know how many weeks we are into it. This week's going to be a little bit different, but just the quarterback getting rid of the ball. When you have a good front and you have guys that can affect the quarterback's not holding on to the ball. I mean, I don't know how many weeks in a row it was like, gosh almighty, you got your stance, it's like, oh, the ball's thrown. So stuff like that. And, the chips, the thumbs, there's a lot. And we got to get better at things, I never want to make excuses, but that's, again, it goes back to what you're saying. There's a lot that factors into a game. But when you look at it, are we affecting the quarterback? Are we getting pressures? Are we getting hurries? All that stuff, plays in a factor. Great. We got them get rid of the ball in 1 second. It's good for our defense, And then it's just the ops. I think right now, I don't know where we're ranked, but we're not playing many snaps on defense either, And the ops aren't as much as you're playing 80 snaps a game which is good. I love it.
Yeah.
I tip my hat to the offense, man. They're doing a hell of a job. But it's just those opportunities, and we just got to stay locked in and try to just affect the quarterback.
What were your thoughts on Keon, getting moved last year, and what type of opportunities does that create now for some of the other guys?
It does. It creates, a lot of opportunities. With Keon leaving, and I wish him nothing but the best. Yeah. He's got a hell of a D-line coach over there with Chris Kasert. We played together in college, so
nice.
I told him he's gonna have another country kid coaching him. So it does. It opens the door anytime. Somebody's leaving. It opens the door for Ponder and Ant and all those guys and Swinson. But it's big. It's big. It's more reps and more opportunities.
It's interesting.
Two more questions, Indeed.
Sorry, heading into the trade deadline, I think the talk, like maybe more of the national media was like, the Pats should add another edge rusher. They should. Obviously, the team doesn't. Just how did you feel about? I don't know if you even listened to any of that stuff. Like, the team needs to add depth here at your position. But like, how do you feel about the state and the depth of your position?
I like it. We got a mix of young guys and older guys. I think Harold and Casey are playing well. Again, I think there's things that we can get better on. Obviously, I like where Ponder's at. And I like the things that Ant can bring in as well. Ant's got a specific skill base with his power and setting things off of his power. I love the way he sets the edge in the run. And it's just a good mixture of guys. They've been here with me since we got here. Again, when you bring somebody new in, there's nothing wrong with that. It's the NFL, it always happens. But it's like, all right, I might be a little bit different where you're going. And so we, it's just a lot goes into it, just coaching these guys and it's like starting off with a brand new guy day one and meeting with them and the defense. And then once they get the defense, all right, this is how, we rush. This is how we set the edge. And then feeling comfortable him going in the game, so it just takes a lot of time, but I also know how this league works.
Yeah. I know he didn't finish at Texas Tech, but Baker was there for a little bit.
It was.
Did you hear any stories or any connections with him over the years? Just anything?
Well, I was actually at Tech when he was there.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah, he was a walk-on.
Yeah,
we had him. So it's funny his play style and how he is because he's like that. He's kind of one of the guys that you drink a beer with and go fishing with and go fight on the practice field or something. But he's a tough guy. He's a competitor. His play style shows like that. He's just running around, extending plays. It's just a lot like Pat Mahomes in a way. Not comparing any of that kind of stuff, but it's just like that same stuff. He's he's a threat out of the pocket. He's a threat in the pocket. He's smart. He sees the field. You always respect a quarterback that it's kind of like a linebacker in there sometimes. I think it was the third most missed sacks, breaking sacks since 2023. So I think that's pretty impressive. I think Josh Allen and Lamar were the only two ahead of him. So, but yeah, I could probably tell you some good stories when this camera turns off.
Team camera. So.
You're good to go.
Good.
So for Carlton this season, what would you say Carlton has brought to the Patriots?
He's brought veteran leadership. He's brought grit, competitiveness, and he's brought just kind of his experience throughout his career, crossing over with guys that we've played against, whether it be quarterbacks, whether it be other skill positions, and then obviously this week going back home to a degree to go and face his former home.
How much have you guys at all discussed that?
A little bit. We talked about it today. He was just talking about how it was going to be weird. He hadn't been back to that stadium since he played there, but then also that he's got a house down there, so he'll be able to see his family, get to see his daughter, which would be good. The weather will be nice. And at the end of the day, though, when you go out and strap it up, it's our team against their team, and he knows that we got to go get a win.
Definitely. His style of play, how would you best describe it in terms of, I guess, the way he plays on the field?
Gritty. He's a gritty guy. I mean, and he's made a career off of being tough, being competitive. I mean, there's not too many corners that I know of that in their career have broken a jaw off of a crack replace and going and making a tackle and being willing to go hit. Has done a nice job of that, but he's a guy that just daily is consistent. He's got a routine. He takes care of his body, and he's been good for the younger players and talking about that in that regard. But a guy that brings grit, compassion, and competitiveness to our room.
The run force from this group, you see that? What's your thought on that?
It's the part of the dirty work. It's part of the job. The whole National Football League, they're going to make corners show up and tackle, and our guys have answered the call. And I think they take pride in us being a defense built on trying to stop the run and knowing that they've got a part in that. And when we've been called to bet, whether it be by our call or by the way the offense is designed in their play, we've shown up and we've made those plays. We got to keep doing that.
Definitely. Christian in particular, I'm just curious, how would you describe just sort of his willingness? I think they all have it, but like just specifically what you've seen from him in that.
Yeah, that's something he and I have talked about going all the way back to the off season, about how people are going to see him and say, let's see how much he wants to tackle. And then from there, take our shots off of the action in the run game and in the passing game. And he's answered the call as well. I mean, he had a couple of nice sticks against the Falcons, and then has come up and shown up. And he's a big, strong guy, and I talked to him about that a lot. When you got to come up, when they crack or they bounce the ball to the edge, we got to show up. Nobody cares who makes the play. We just know it's ours to make. And he's answered the bell. Been proud of him in that way.
Sorry. In your career, who are some of the better tackling corners that come to mind, or even that you've I guess I was thinking who you've coached, but even just as someone who studies the game, you know what I mean? Is there someone that comes to mind? And that's a tough one. So
yeah, that is a tough one.
Yeah, and maybe no one. It's not a. I was more curious.
Yeah, I'm trying to think historically. Antoine Winfield Sr. was one of the first ones that he would show up and come to strike. Ty Law, going back to those days. In recent times, I think that Stingley and Lassiter do a good job down in Houston. They show up on the tape. The guys in Cleveland that they've had in the past and now, they've shown up some. And they're, again, it's a defense where the ball's going to bounce to the edge and the corners have to tackle. And our guys here, Marcus Jones and CD and Gonzo, they've shown up and, they're making tapes of guys that will show up and get people on the ground. It may not always be pretty, but if we tackle them and they don't have leaky yardage, then we'll take it, make them snap it again.
One thing I learned from the last game, and I'd love you to dive into it if you're comfortable, is in the red zone when they motion and create a stack and it forces some communication between your corners, how you handle that, right? We've seen Marcus make plays in the end zone, come up through the pocket.
Yeah.
Right? I think we even talked about that a couple weeks ago. Yep. How much of that do you tip your cap to the other guys because they're going to make plays too? And those were a couple impressive plays, right?
Yeah.
Versus like, what I'm trying to say, what can Patriots do better in those situations?
Right. I think the contested catches like the ones that Drake London had, where he's got to survive the collision, he's got to survive the sideline, he's got to survive the ground. Those are the ones you tip your cap. There's a guy there, guy that's made plays, you tip your cap to those. The ones that you don't want is you try to get everything matched up exactly the right way, where you have exactly who you want on, exactly who you want them to be on. And then there's two guys on one and nobody on the other. That's the situation you're trying to avoid. If they make the play, it's contested one-on-one and they make the play. There's things that we can do in terms of our communication to try to get the matchup the way we want it. But at the end of the day, there's so much moving and so much, it's like spaghetti on a plate to where guys are all over the place. You want a guy for a guy. And then at the end of the day, we got to be able to contest and to execute and make those plays. But it's like you said, Marcus has made those plays. We got full faith in him. And if it's anybody else, then we've got to show up and make those plays. And they're tough to make.
And I didn't see any two guys on one guy.
No.
I haven't seen anything like that. So that's cool. And then look ahead. This challenge, Buccaneers, receivers, what are you seeing and how they're going to challenge?
It's the classic every week, even though they're down a couple of guys, there's somebody on the other team that's good enough to beat you if you don't play well. Ibuka, if I mispronounced his name, I apologize, but everybody knows who he is. Has been a really solid player. Shep has been a solid player for a long time. And then Baker, he's a guy that he rips the ball with confidence. He's got tremendous arm strength. He's never dead in the pocket. He always keeps plays alive. He's able to extend, can drop it off to the backs, can drop it off to the tight ends. They've just got guys all over the place that they can run. And Tez also is another one that he's a problem. And, we see it each week, and we know that there's times where we've got to be really good with vision on the quarterback and zone coverage. There's other times we got to do a great job in man coverage. Be tight, be sticky, and our man can't catch the ball. That's the mindset we got to have. Knowing they'll make some, but if they do, we got to minimize the yak, minimize the explosives, and continue to put ourselves in position where we can play third down defense.
That's awesome. What do you got for me? Anything on your mind? You guys see that was one me going to you. You got anything for me? You curious about anything?
So would you rather this time of year cover a game in Tampa or here in Gillette?
Always going to be Tampa, okay? And it's hard because the first thing that came to my mind is like home is nice because that Saturday with the kids and the fam is all like that's hard to beat.
Yeah.
But yeah, warm weather.
80 and Son.
I love 80 and Son. Like this is going to be nice.
Yeah.
Going down with my brother who's going to travel on the plane with me.
Oh, there you go.
And then my dad who's down there, he spends half the year down there, so he's coming to the game.
Yeah. There you go.
Story.
Everybody wants.
What are your thoughts? It's gonna be nice.
Yeah, I like the warm weather. I'm a warm weather guy myself. I'm with you on the Saturday. I like being home with family and getting that time of day.
Those days too sad.
Yeah.
Nice, especially after the 3 roads.
Yeah. It was a long time between games that we played here. Yeah.
I love the chat. It's really